standing by our own municipal laws. It means standing by state laws. The Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court decision as well that reinforces local communities implement local laws, and federal government can implement their laws, and we are not forced to participate in their actions, just as they are not asked to carry out filling potholes and other things like that as well. So we each have our domain, and we feel very strongly that we're on solid legal ground as we're following the law every day.
Mayor, will you be sending them the paperwork, the records that they're requesting? We have not made a decision if you will physically go to D.C., but will the city be providing the paperwork, the files that they're requesting?
We're still reviewing the letter and working through what all the details will be in terms of a response and if and when that happens.
Some other big city mayors have also received letters. Have you been able to speak with them at all? Do you plan to speak and sort of coordinate with different cities that have these priorities?
Our teams are in touch with many other cities, and I'm in contact with other mayors as well. We're all experiencing a lot of the same sense of chaos and destabilization right now, whether it is the threat of federal funds that are legally obligated being pulled away, or the sense of fear that's being created in the communities. At the local level, we're focused on getting our job done every day. Our job is the one that people rely on to get their kids to school, to get around the city. We're looking at potential for a bit of snow overnight even, and so that's our focus, is making sure we're there to serve our residents. And it seems if D.C. is going to play politics, let them do what they're doing. We're going to stay focused on serving our communities here locally.
Would you defy a subpoena to testify before the committee?
We have not received a subpoena.
But would you defy one, or would you go to testify if you were a subpoena?
We have not received one, so I don't have to speculate on that just yet.
Why do you think Boston is being singled out, given that the city is so much safer than others?
From the beginning, it's been clear that Boston's progress may seem threatening to some. We are here a community that prioritizes investing in every generation, being welcoming, inclusive, and then having the receipts and the results to show that that is a way of serving everyone even better. We have had record lows in crime, the lowest ever recorded levels of gun violence, now 3+ years in a row. We have had record high participation in youth summer jobs, in childcare expansion, in affordable housing creation. All of that fits together, and we are remaining focused on continuing to deliver on those issues, which is what matters to our residents.
What's your response here among residents? Can you talk to just Boston residents who are feeling that panic about how they should be informed of their rights, or if you have any message for people just in terms of being afraid of potential ICE raids, or how people can conduct themselves in order to protect their environmental borders?
We are in intense and scary times for so many of our community members, and that is by design. It is intentional that the policies that have now been communicated, whether or not they are fully legal, and we see many of them working their way through the courts right now, including some that have already, even just in the first few days of this administration, seem to have been struck down, at least in the first steps in the judicial system. And on immigration, for example, largely what we have seen across the country in terms of the actions so far have mirrored the priorities and the same types of actions that took place under federal enforcement under the Biden administration. However, they're now including Fox News being embedded and going along on these actions, or bringing other celebrities to document what's happening, to create a sense of greater impact with that fear and destabilization. At the city level, we can't control what the federal government does. There are consequences to elections, and this administration unfortunately has the right to make some of the changes that they're talking about. They don't have the right to make some of the illegal changes that have also been put on the table, and that's up to the courts to sort that out, and Congress in a lot of ways to take action. What we know here at the local level is that we are not participating in the federal government's actions. We cannot overrule what they do, just as they cannot overrule or step into what is within our domain here at the local level. And within our domain, we're very clear in schools, in interactions with public safety officials, in community centers. We don't ask about immigration status. We hold everyone accountable, regardless of immigration status, for any crimes or harm that's committed. And we also work very hard to ensure that there's full access to services, regardless of immigration status, and for everyone in our community. What we have proven and what we see in Boston every day is that the entire community is safer when everyone feels like they can trust reaching out for help, going to their neighbor, taking their kids to school, reporting crimes if they have information, calling 911 when they need help. That helps every single person in our community, and we have the numbers to back that up.
Can you put a price tag?
¿Nos puede decir nuevamente, va a ir usted a testificar y luego también si va a la ciudad a cooperar o a ofrecer algún tipo de información a quienes están pidiendo ahora mismo el comité?
Sí, ahora es un tiempo de miedo. Con las comunicaciones del gobierno federal desafortunadamente es el derecho del gobierno federal de participar y implementar cada acciones, pero al mismo tiempo es el derecho del gobierno municipal proteger nuestros residentes en otras maneras. Hemos recibido el mensaje, pero estamos todavía viendo las consecuencias y podemos decidir y responder después sobre ese mensaje. Cada día nuestro objetivo, el foco es en proveer, implementar el nivel más alto de calidad en nuestros servicios municipales, en las escuelas públicas, en nuestras bibliotecas, en industrias y trabajo para nuestros residentes. Somos una ciudad para todos, una ciudad de inmigrantes y de miembros de nuestra comunidad de cada cultura y cada generación, y es nuestra responsabilidad de proveer la manera de comunicación con confianza y en colaboración entre nuestras comunidades y otros niveles de gobierno estatal, y cuando en colaboración para la seguridad pública de nuestros residentes con el gobierno federal también.
¿Cree que puede ser como un tipo de ataque que están haciendo estas ciudades santuarios, incluyendo a Boston? ¿Y de eso lo haría pensar usted tal vez en cambiar un poco de las políticas, de cómo se lleva a cabo el trabajo aquí como ciudad santuario?
Sí, es enteramente política en este momento. Boston tenemos el estatus y el reconocimiento como la ciudad la más segura en todo el país. Entonces, nuestros policías, nuestra conexión entre residentes de cada cultura, incluyendo residentes de familias inmigrantes, es parte de una estrategia con muy éxito sobre la seguridad pública de todos.
Last question.
Can you put a price tag on the buckets of federal funding that you get and where those go?
Yeah, there's a couple different buckets, and we have been carefully reviewing them for the last several months at this point. So there are grants that have been awarded to Boston under the previous federal administration that have been contractually obligated. And so there have been documents signed legally, in our position, legally obligating the successful delivery of those funds. That includes funds from the bipartisan infrastructure law and other transportation, climate, green infrastructure, childcare, jobs, a lot of different categories. That's in the tens of millions of dollars that we are obligated but not yet received, although we worked very closely to get them in contract form so that they would be codified in those legal documents. And then there's funding that the city and cities around the country receive on a regular annual basis. That could be funding for housing or funding for city services, public safety. Those, we're really not quite sure what the intended target is. What we do know is that we are going to continue complying with every bit of the legal requirements, as we always do, and that in our position, the city's on solid footing right now, given the work that's been put in to codify the discretionary grants that have been awarded. And then in terms of annual funding, we're going to continue analyzing and understanding what the impacts are. But this is a wide-ranging threat that impacts every city around the country in the most basic services that are offered, on funding for police and fire and housing and addressing homelessness. And so I can't imagine that it will be implemented to the fullest. It affects blue states, it affects red states. It's really every single person in the country is impacted in some way here. So we will wait to see what happens, but we're also have been putting in the work ahead of time to make sure that we would be on as solid legal footing as possible.
Mayor, thank you, everyone. Respond to Councilor Ed Flynn, who says that Boston Police Department could be doing a better job of cooperating with federal authorities.
I would be open to understanding any recommendations that the council or the councilors putting forward on that front. We work with the federal government every single day. As mentioned, our track record and the numbers when it comes to public safety show that our strategies and the types of collaborations that we have are making a difference. We've seen dramatic decreases in crime year over year, and when it comes to those individuals who have perpetrated harm in the community or who have committed crimes, our police department holds them accountable no matter who they are. Great. I have not heard.
All right, thank you, everyone.
How's the baby? She's great.
Bring her out.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'll if she wants, maybe I'll do a quick watch. Okay. She doesn't answer questions yet.